Matariki serves an important role in helping guide planting and crop planning. Its appearance in the night sky provides valuable insights into the coming growing season. In the autumn, Janina Schwanaka paid a visit to a whānau in North Taranaki to check out some of the unusual crops they're growing.
The roots of the McClutchie family run deep in North Taranaki. On family whenua and Puke Arohe, a new project is starting to grow. It was there I met with 4 of the 5 siblings.
Rawiri McClutchie.
Davis McClutchie.
Anne-Maree McKay.
Richard McClutchie.
And we're missing one sibling today as well?
Yes.
Carolyn McClutchie. Who's the oldest? What's the kind of order of the 4 or 5 of you, by the way?
It's Carolyn is the eldest, who's not here. Then
And I'm the youngest.
Rawiri, Richard, then myself, and then Anne-Maree's the baby.
And who's the bossy one? Is it Caroline or is it?
Depends on the kaupapa.
Yeah. We're all bossy, and we all have our moments. We all seem to get on well, and we listen to what each other has to say, and we're not afraid to call each other out if we're doing something silly, which has been really good.
We all know our strengths, and we all know each other's strengths, and so we, kind of just organically works out.
Just play to them, yeah. And so we're standing here on the family property, the whānau land. You guys have the most amazing views. In front of me, I can see the mountain just peeking out over there, is making an appearance today. Out to sea, I can see the most beautiful shades of blue with some cloud coming off it and lots of lovely lush green fields, which I'm sure is a very happy thing to see at the moment. Can you tell me a little bit about the family history here? I understand the family's been on this whenua for a very long time.
So we all whakapapa into Ngāti Tama. Ngāti Tama is a local iwi here, and our family have been farming in this area for quite a few generations, but obviously our people Ngāti Tama have been here for 800 to 1,000 years, I guess.
Long time. Can you tell me a little bit about the property itself in terms of the size? Your mum's house is over there in the corner, and I understand you live next door, and you live here as well. Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about the setup, I suppose?
So, it's about 6 hectares of land that my mum owns at the moment. My sister Anne-Maree lives here. My brother Richard lives here as well in his house. And we've got a shared block next door of about, it's another 3 hectares. So total about 9 hectares of farmable land. Historically, mum and dad moved here and were milking dairy cows, about 99 to 100 cows plus or minus, with a small sheep unit. As that dairy unit got unproductive, they tried a few other things. Mum and dad tried dairy goats, Angora goats,
Meat goats,
Angora goats, and rabbits.
Wow, a bit of everything.
Yeah, a bit of everything. They were quite industrious, trying to get the recipe right, I suppose, for the small block of land that it was. In recent times, it's been dairy grazing to the local neighbour, dairy farmer. That's what we've sort of been doing since we've been here since the early 70s.
Wow.
Ourselves, yeah.
Long
when
time.
we were kids, we spent a lot of time draining this wetland down in the gully you can see there, but in recent years we've closed it all back up and replanted it. So
a lot of farms kind of seem to be doing that,
Yeah.
kind of changing tack in terms of what the generations past used to do.
I think as everyone learns a bit more about the land and what's good for it, I hope everyone seems to be making changes for the better, which is great.
Can you tell me a little bit about, I suppose, as I say, we can see the mountain over there. I imagine that's had quite an impact on possibly kind of the quality of soil and the fertility. Can you guys talk me through kind of what growing here is like?
Growing here, the soil conditions up in our area, like all of Taranaki, is exceptional soil for growing. It grows pretty much anything. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good here for growing. And at this time of year, we're starting to dry off now. It's been a pretty dry summer, but generally, it's a good growing area. Plenty of rain, good amount of sun. No, it's good.
We have a microclimate here too, which stays quite warm, and we usually get enough rain throughout the spring. And I'm a crop grower, like I grow all in my own garden. We all do, all our own veggie gardens, so we get enough moisture in the spring to get everything started, and once it's started, you're away. You don't really need a lot of rain after that when you're growing things like potatoes and kumara and root vegetables and harvest vegetables.
The whānau is involved in Venture Taranaki's branching out trial and are in their second year of growing a range of botanicals and medicinal plants, including licorice, angelica and ashwagandha. As Rawiri explains.
Initially, actually, we got approached by my mother's lawyer, and he sort of thought, we had a small block of land that we weren't doing a lot with in recent times. We were obviously, as I mentioned before, leasing it to the neighbour for grazing, and he said that North Taranaki were looking at running a program called Branching Out, which was to identify places within Taranaki region which could diversify away from your standard dairy farming, sheep and beef. And this is our second growing season. It's been quite exciting for us. Obviously, there's 5 of us children, but we're all really on board to explore the options and see what might suit our situation best. We definitely know that we can grow anything here.
You mentioned obviously the family's trialled a range of different operations on the land, so no stranger to trying new things. In your second growing season, how are things going?
I think a lot better this year. I think the first year, I even think North Taranaki was sort of still trying to find their feet and how those plants grew and how to lay them out as a plot or on the land. And so this year I think it's been a lot more organised for us, for them. We've put the crops into smaller blocks so they're easier to manage. We'll put good space between the crops because at the moment we're only basically utilising maybe half an acre of potentially an acre paddock. So there's been a lot more organisation this year. We've learnt a lot last year on the plant itself, or the plants themselves, and how they perform and grow.
Davis admits keeping on top of weeding has also been challenging at times.
I think one of the areas that we've really this year is the weed control. Last year we did lapse a lot on the weed control, not probably just lack of experience, and that's the trial aspects of it, I guess. And this year we've really stepped it up, and the weeds really have been put a bay on those crops that we put in this season.
And who oversees kind of the overall day-to-day care and management of the botanicals, or is that kind of shared amongst all of you?
Pretty much shared, eh?
Shared to a degree. Rawiri would probably lead it really, and he helps coordinate us all. Meet with me and Anne-Maree living here, I suppose we probably have more opportunity to participate daily, I guess, generally. But everyone participates, like all the Davis, Rawiri, Carolyn, all their partners come out periodically over the weekends and spend a day doing bits and pieces. Everybody equally contributes, I'd say, to the work anyway. But the admin, Rawiri would be more the face of it all.
Rawiri takes us through the different crops they have planted.
So this is the licorice. So the licorice stays the ground. In the winter, this will die off to nothing. It'll just be grass, and it comes back again in the spring. And one thing we've had to try and mitigate has been the weeds on the licorice, because being in the ground so long, obviously it's hard to maintain around the plant. But we've got a few things we're going to try down the bottom, because we did a second round of growing for that down the bottom here, and we've got a wool bale there that we're going to potentially spread wool around it to try and suppress weeds, maybe try a bit of straw, that sort of thing.
But a kind of a mulch cover, and I suppose that helps keep the moisture in too.
Yeah, for sure. And then it saves us having to maintain weed regularly around it. This is the ashwagandha. There's different varieties. So within the trial, it's not just one variety. There are many, about 4 varieties.
And what is it actually that you're harvesting? So I can see some lovely leafy greens, but I can also see what look almost like little pods.
Yeah, so
some have started to turn yellow.
Yeah, those pods are the seeds. We're not harvesting the seeds, and saying that I have collected some for us to potentially try and propagate our own plants. But it's the root. So if I was to pull one out, which I don't think is going to be a problem. Okay, so it's quite a feathery type root, I suppose, with half a dozen main roots. Ideally, we want those to be about as big as your small finger, and about as long. That's obviously not there, and it sort of died off, so that's not a great example.
Well, that's why you can pull it out.
Yeah, but that's sort of thing what we're looking for. And they even say you can do the husk, but that gets sent away and dried and then made into a powder.
As you can see, there's all sorts of different. This is all ashwagandha, but it all looks different. It's all different strains. So we're trialling different strains of the same plant to see which ones works best for us.
You were telling me about the ashwagandha. You'd never heard of it before.
Yeah, it was something that I had not heard of, but it sort of seemed to be the same time as we started to do the trial. You started to hear about it. I heard our neighbour uses it in their smoothies and on their cereal. A friend of ours uses it as a tablet. So it seems to have sprung onto the market at a good time that we've started to grow it. And it's used for like stress and anxiety and things like that. I'm not exactly sure what else it is used for, but that's what we were sort of told when we went into the trial for it. We've had a couple of New Zealand-based herbal product manufacturers come to site and have a look at it. They're very interested in seeing where this trial might go and whether there is going to be whether it's going to be successful and whether we're going to be able to supply the market, because historically, again, that product comes in from overseas. Same with the Angelica, to be fair, that also is imported generally. And the licorice, people were quite interested in that, saying, licorice, what do you mean? Does it grow licorice all sorts as a flower? Yeah, all these 3 trials for us are a root-based plant. That's what we are predominantly growing them for. And the licorice is, again, another botanical. But they are saying that it also has medicinal properties as well. But that's yet to be explored. For us, we're just seeing whether how the plant grows, what the root ends up being like, the yields like. All these plants get sent away for analysis.
I suppose that's, one question is these are obviously not your typical crops you'd find on a New Zealand farm, particularly I imagine in Taranaki. That's the point of the trial.
Angelica and Ashwagandha are a annual crop. The licorice was planted in the first round, and so that's still in the ground. And so that will come out potentially this time next year. So it's really like a 3-year trial period. This coming spring, we're hoping to potentially increase the number of planting over and above what the trial will put in. So we're hoping to maybe put in some of our own, and by then hopefully have had explored markets and therefore have product that can go to the market.
Where do they end up going? What is the kind of vision for the market?
Angelica is predominantly used in New Zealand as a gin botanical. Last year's harvest, one of the local brewers here in Taranaki, Juno Gin, they took some samples not just from our property but from another property, and they combined those together to make a batch of gin, which I will say was very successful in our eyes. It tasted good. And so that seemed to be successful. And like just talking with the people from Juno Gin, they grow their own, and they say that there is never enough because they always are getting calls from other brewers for their surplus, which they don't really have. We're hoping, because gin seems to be the new buzzword within the brewing industry, to have potential growth in that market for us and other growers within Taranaki.
The family has hopes to later branch into plants for rongoa Māori, traditional Māori medicine, which emphasises spiritual health as well as herbal remedies.
We're all really, really busy. Well, it's definitely something that I'd rather be doing native. I can't sometimes get past looking out here and thinking that we've got a paddock full of weeds. But it's going to take a lot of time, and we all work full time. We'll talk about perhaps changing over to doing this full time, but like I work in the taiao space. I work for my iwi Ngāti Mutunga, and I love my job, and I'm kind of struggling to let it go, to be fair. But yeah, definitely something that I'd love to look into.
I suppose as you guys have, and the name of it is a trial, you guys are learning and trying new things, and that could be something you look at down the line.
Well, we're definitely learning about cropping in general, so it doesn't, at the moment, where it's such an early stage, it's in any type of crop, it's teaching us how to crop at this kind of scale, so it's all good. It's all good learning.
For now, though, the whānau are happy learning what they can from the trial and rotation of crops already planted.
That was Anne-Maree McKay speaking to Janina Schwanneker at the family farm in North Taranaki. Janina also spoke with Anne-Maree's brothers Rawiri, Davis and Richard McClutchie. Matariki is also a time for remembrance, and the whānau ask that we remember their mother Shirley, who died this year.